We do have another question from Tia. Excuse me. My older sister was involved in a car accident in which the other party was definitely at fault. Her medical bills total $3,500 plus $3,500 in lost wages. She's 38 years old and female. What would be a reasonable reimbursement if you include pain and suffering, Tia?
You know what, Tia, I'm glad you asked that question, because I was having this conversation with an insurance adjuster earlier this week. We were talking about how to value a claim, and in my case, my client has very good health insurance. She's a member of the military, so she has TRICARE, and TRICARE reimbursement rates like Medicare, Medicaid, Florida Blue, their reimbursement rates, what they actually pay a doctor is not actually what the doctor charges. So, for example, you go to the hospital, you get an MRI, they may charge $1,500 for the MRI, but that's not what these insurance companies pay. They pay a fraction of that, maybe 20 cents on the dollar, 25 cents on the dollar. That's their reimbursement rate, and that's ultimately what the person is allowed to recover. And so in this particular case, the adjuster's like, well, her medical bills are only this, right, and her medical bills are only that. I don't care what the medical bills are. I care about what the injury is. What's the effect it's going to have on your life? I've seen cases where people have lost limbs, have had multi-level neck surgeries, have had catastrophic injuries, had to get knee replacements, broken hips, or they've had small medical bills because they had really good insurance or because they got a charitable write-off. Right. But those injuries are way worse than, somebody that, you still have like whiplash type injuries, which are still serious, but to a lesser degree. So I've really, when I'm talking with insurance adjusters, I try to focus away from what the bills are. Now, if the bills are really, I would say, well, look, these bills are here, but if they're low, I mean, I'm more worried about what the injury is, because that's really where the value is. Right. How has it affected your life? You mentioned lost wages. What do you do for a living? Are you going to be able to continue doing the job in that same capacity? What do you like to do for fun? Are you young? Do you like to get out and exercise? Do you do some sort of, like to do surf or CrossFit or something like that? Has your quality of life been affected? Those are the driving factors for when we look into the non-economic damages, which is a big component of what we fight for on behalf of injured people. The non-economic damages for pain and suffering, mental anguish, inconvenience, loss of the capacity for enjoyment of life. Those are the things that really matter to people. Yeah. Not, well, my bill is $1,000, my bill is $3,500.
Well, that's what the insurance companies want you to
right.
They want. You're not so hurt. Here's your $1,000. I'll tell you what. Here's $2,000. We're going to be the good Samaritan here.
Right. And so, it's hard to say based on what you said. $3,500 in medical bills, $3,500 in lost wages. Obviously, you have $7,000 in economic damages. But what was the real impact on this person's life? Is it worth another 25, 30, 50, 100? We don't know. We don't know. Sometimes injuries are very catastrophic, but because they're so catastrophic, there's nothing that can be done medically. And then you have a relatively low medical expense because, oh, that person lost their eye. There's nothing we can do about it. Well, guess what? This person's not going to have an eye for the rest of their life. So you really got to look at the injury to really be able to say with any degree of certainty what a claim is worth. Ultimately, either the parties decide or you take it to a jury, and a jury decides what's worth, what that is worth, and both of those carry their risks and rewards.
Les, we call this show Fighting the Insurance Company. And I think one thing that may go unsaid is we do actually fight the insurance companies. It's not like a physical boxing match. It feels like it sometimes, but it's not a boxing match. And the reason I bring that up is it's just not a catchy phrase or a slogan. We actually go to battle every day for people who are deserving to be compensated for their injuries. And keep in mind, insurance companies have attorneys that work for them 24 hours a day. Let's just say 25 hours a day, 8 days a week.
Right.
24/7, round clock. And shouldn't you have someone advocating for you? Because trust me, they have somebody advocating for them. And every phone call that is made on an insurance company's behalf is been under the direction or training or education of counsel at some point.
And an even bigger reason why you need somebody in your corner for that is because, we've talked about these various laws. We've talked about PIP.
Right.
We've talked in past shows about tort reform that was passed last year. We talked in the past about property damage reform that was passed. All of these laws that were passed under the guise of we're going to bring your rates down, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. I'm pretty confident in saying that I don't think anybody's rates have gone down since these laws have been passed, number one. But number two, it's the insurance lobby that writes these laws that gets these lawmakers to pass them. And so they've already got the upper hand. You really need to have somebody that understands that and understands how to talk their language and how to box them in, because there are still ways you can put pressure on insurance
still have rights
companies.
in the state of Florida.
You absolutely still have rights, but it can be a very complicated system, and you need somebody that knows what they're doing.